The 2025 Air Jordan 1 Shattered Backboard has been one of the most controversial and contentious sneaker releases of all time. This one shoe has caused so much drama in the sneaker community, and this wild online back and forth all stems from the idea that the 2015 Air Jordan 1 Shattered Backboard is a better leather quality than the new pair, which actually, to be fair, I don't think is the main reason for the arguing. The main reason is that a lot of people are not happy with the fact that the 2025 pair is not as good as the 2015 pair, including myself. In fact, I made a whole video on it, and you guys hated it. From that one video, I got more comments about me losing my credibility, me being an idiot when it comes to leather, and me not knowing anything about leather or sneakers than I've ever gotten in any video. And what's wild is that I think a lot of people misunderstood what I was saying in the video, and if they had watched any of my previous videos, they would know that what they think that they're hearing is not actually what I'm saying. And that's that softer leather equals better leather, which is not something I've ever said. At least I don't remember saying it. I've made thousands of videos. It's possible that I let one slip at one point, but I've never actually thought that. I've seen Twitter arguments about the video online. I've seen Instagram posts saying that one of the biggest problems in sneakers is fake leather experts. Even other YouTubers were making videos calling out fake leather experts in the community, which I don't think was directed directly at me, although it could have been, which is fine, it doesn't bother me. Although I am making a video now, so maybe it bothers me more than I thought. So for today's video, I decided to get an actual leather expert to tell me which one of these shoes is better. And not only which one was better, because I think we would all agree that the older one is better overall, but how much better it actually is, and also bust some myths about leather quality. One of the main ones being that the thickness of leather determines how nice a leather is, like thicker is better, thinner is worse. In reality, the thickness of the leather really has no bearing on the quality, which we'll talk about later on in the video. So let's go talk to this leather expert. It's me. I'm the leather expert. I'm kidding. This is Mike, leather artisan. He's made bags for celebrities. He's made bags for Apple. He is truly a leather expert and knows everything there is to know about leather. So I wanted to get him here today to find out which one you actually think is better leather. And not only that, how much better leather is it? These are the two shoes. I'm not gonna tell you which one is which, but if you could go over an initial visual inspection, let me know which one you think is.
Get my my official leather specs here.
You got to.
Take a look here. Well, I can tell you, obviously it looks like there's some different types of leathers in this.
Okay. Now, just to clarify, I think that, and I want to get your opinion on this.
Sure.
Nothing really that Jordan brand mass produces is decent leather or good leather.
I mean, again, my first blush would tell you that it's probably not like what you would say is your premium or super high quality leather, but
Makes
I mean,
sense.
it looks like real leather, number one.
Okay.
It looks like fairly decent leather. It looks like different leather. The black, the orange, and the white are all kind of different leathers.
Okay.
And it looks like they're pebbled, which is, you know, with a lot of leathers, what they do is they'll take second or third tier grains or skive them, and then they'll use different leathers for different things. Probably for these, they're not using the top grain, like the highest leather.
That makes sense.
And part of that's because the natural leathers will crease a lot more than others, and they patina really. Like, I like that personally for myself, but I'm not sure for when you're making hundreds of thousands of pairs, you probably want consistency.
That makes sense.
The other thing is, like, I'm looking at this pebbledness. You can see here, this looks like, just from when I'm looking at this looks like nicer leather than this.
Okay.
And when I'm doing a project on leather, it has to speak to me. It has to have texture. It has to have, there's a touch and a smell and a way that it works. That's what to me signifies a really good leather, aside from just the name brand that comes with it. And we don't know where these leathers came from. I'm assuming they're probably in Asia somewhere.
Most likely, yeah.
But you know, the white leather in this has a pebbled nature to it, and what happens when they do a run of leather, they put a embossing over it, which gives it the pebbled feature.
So that's not a natural feature.
That's not a natural feature.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now there are natural features, like you can see this actually looks more like it's natural feature, because it's not uniform. Whereas if you look at this one, it's almost uniform, and then in nature, nothing's uniform. I can just tell you, just from feeling it, this is a nicer leather for sure.
Awesome.
I don't know which one it is, but it's the white is definitely a nicer leather.
Okay.
I think the Nike swoosh on both of these looks identical and looks kind of like plasticky. It doesn't really look super high quality. And then the orange is very more similar to the white.
Okay.
I would say this looks more manufactured.
Right.
It just doesn't have, like, you can kind of see, and plus some of the glues like that. That's just a quality item there. I would say for a Nike, I'm surprised that they actually went to that
Yeah.
would sell those for that. I don't know.
Unfortunately, it's common now.
But you can see it's all the way around. So whoever was making these,
just slapped it on and threw it in the
versus this one doesn't have that.
Right.
I would tell you that for sure this is a better leather all around.
That's the 2015 pair.
Okay.
That's the older pair. So to give you some background on the story, so this pair first released 2015 pair first released back in 2015, obviously, and it was inspired by the time that Michael Jordan shattered a backboard when he was playing a game in Italy. It's inspired by the jersey that he was wearing. But when this shoe first came out, people were so impressed by what they thought was the leather quality and the fact that it felt so good that they were like, this is the benchmark for Jordan quality leather. This is like the new bar for leather quality. And to be fair, I mean, it does feel really good.
It's not bad for as far as mass-produced sneakers go. I'd say it's a decent leather. Again, between the two though, this one's, I can already tell you that this is just more, part of what they probably do is they go through and go after years of production, I would guess. Somebody's saying, well, people are complaining, maybe or maybe not, that these break down a little bit because the natural leathers over time will patina and they'll get worn out and they get softer, but it could also make them not look as pretty.
Right, that makes sense.
They may be trying to avoid that with these. Having had a business where people would return things, I could see why you might want to make it more uniform.
Now, is there a chance that a lot of the leather on this shoe could be synthetic? Is that possible?
I would tell you that it looks like the white and the orange. I would tell you are natural leathers.
Okay, cool.
The black, I would be suspect.
Okay.
This part seems more natural than the swoosh, and my guess is, again, on production they probably make 4 billion swooshes out of whatever leather, and then this leather up here looks synthetic.
Right. Okay.
It feels synthetic. I think it is not leather.
What sort of gives it away, the fact that it's synthetic?
The first things are touch, feel, texture. Those are the things that strike out at me initially.
Gotcha.
And I would tell you that if somebody gave me a hide, and I would be able to tell you like right away that that's not fake, that's real. I've had people that have asked me to cut quality down to do mass produced projects before, and it's been tough for me just because I just doesn't feel right.
Gotcha.
That's what I would say. The swoosh and potentially these pieces of the black.
Right.
I would say very much guess that they're probably not all leather. They have hybrids though.
That makes sense. Okay.
So they may be, what they do is they take pieces of lesser quality leathers and glue them together with synthetic product.
Gotcha. So would they use the nicer part on the outside, the part that's real, and then use the synthetic on the inside?
They'll use the nicer parts for the high quality splash parts, like the stuff you're going to see.
Right.
And then they use the lesser quality. It's not stuff that you're not going to see. It's more just it's cheaper. It's like this swoosh. I don't think you could do anything to damage the.
Right. It's
unless
very
you melted it. But I'm guessing that's probably it's not going to scuff.
Right.
People aren't going to be giving it back and doing all that kind of thing.
One thing that people said when they saw these two shoes together was that the orange on this shoe was a little bit lighter, more yellowish than the orange on this shoe. Initially, I was thinking that was because they just changed the color slightly. People were suggesting in the comments that it had aged. I just noticed it seems like the orange on this shoe is very consistent, almost too consistent to be aged, would be my guess. But I wanted to ask, is it possible for this kind of dyed leather to be...
Oh, it'll most likely, if it's I would say almost definitely it will age and get lighter.
So there's a potential that this could have looked like this 10 years ago when it first came out.
Yeah, but I can, looking at it in this light, in our natural light, I can still tell that this is better leather.
Gotcha.
And you can, it doesn't need an expert to be able to look at it and touch it and feel like, all right, it just seems like better, but it's more supple, I guess is the right word. This is a deeper shade of orange. I don't think it's gonna fade quite as nice as this will fade.
Right.
And this does kind of have a uniform fade that you can see it's happening.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I mean, this is definitely, the more I'm looking at it, the more I can tell you, like, this is definitely higher quality than this.
Would you say
with the exception of the white in this looks very
on this one, so okay.
I mean, I think it's not better, but I think it's similar to this.
Okay.
Although not as good. I take it back. It's not as good as that.
Fair enough. I basically did a video complaining about how that shoe was so much worse than this shoe, in my opinion. What people were saying was that the reason that I was saying that it was worse was because the leather was softer. Obviously, softness is not always an indication of leather quality.
There's a lot of reasons why it would be. I mean, famous leather type is Horween, which is used in a lot of shoes.
Okay.
It's very supple, very soft. It's one of the best quality. It's American-made leathers. It's one of the best quality leathers that are out there. You can skive it, which is to cut the leather thick-wise,
Gotcha.
not dimension-wise, but cut the thickness down. In fact, can I show you? This is the same hide from Horween. I had this skived or made a little bit thinner just because I was doing a project. In fact, I was making this bag with a combination of recycled materials and new. But if you look, or if you feel it, I don't know if you won't be able to do this on the film, but you can feel how
that's very thick. Yep.
Versus this.
Oh, so is this actually skived all the way through? It's not just an edge?
It's skived from front to back. So they skive, it's probably, like this is a veg tan belt leather, but it's probably would be like what they would call an 8 or 10 mil thickness versus this is a 4 mil thickness. And
Gotcha.
This is probably a 4 to 6.
Gotcha.
This is probably a 1 to 2.
Okay.
So it's not an issue whether of quality or not, it's more preference. This is going to be a lot more malleable, the thicker, the less malleable.
That makes sense.
But the thing that's cool about shoes is if you're going to wear them for a long time and you're actually going to wear them and not just hang them on your wall, the thickness will get softer with age and it'll get more malleable and it'll last it's thinking about just having a sole that's this thick versus a sole that's this thick. It's going to last that much longer.
That makes sense. Okay. So just because it's thinner doesn't mean it's worse quality at all.
That's correct.
And it just means it's going to be softer. It's just purely a
So and you can and sometimes in the process of leather making, the process is different. So vegetable tanning is you're using natural materials to tan your leathers, and Wicket and Craig's what I use a lot of. Some of these bags here, Wicket and Craig, they can take 2 weeks or 3 weeks to go through the process, and the longer that goes through the process, the more supple they'll get.
That makes sense.
Unless you're trying for something different.
Gotcha.
And then it was in the case of like Horween or Chrome XL, which is probably what a lot of people, tanneries in Asia are doing, is the chrome tan.
Okay.
And again, that's a quick process. You can't really have as much. I guess just put more chemicals in it to make it change the feel and the touch of the product.
And then one last thing I wanted to ask you about these shoes in particular is I've noticed that these ones you can actually see the pores. And my wife was telling me that's called the pull. When you can, is that okay? This one you can't as much. So I don't know if there's maybe on the newer pair a finish that they put on top of it to where you can't see the pores.
I would tell you that part of it's the quality of the leather.
Okay.
When you're doing these, like the toe and then the heel, you can feel there's like it's probably cardboard underneath there that they pulled on and on the last. So the pull, what happens is as you get to those hard, rigid areas, when they're doing the process, it will smooth out some of those textures.
Gotcha.
And again, these leathers are probably embossed for the most. It's sort of like a basketball is like tacky.
So it just presses on the texture.
It presses on it. So what happens is the texture gets worn off.
That makes sense.
If you're on a hard surface versus on the sides.
Right. So that's why you see the tumbled texture so much more on the sides. Gotcha.
But look here. So you see the tumbled texture here, but this should be the same.
Okay.
And it's not.
Is that because you think this could be synthetic?
I think
or
that this is probably synthetic.
Okay, that would make sense.
Both the swoosh and this. And then the same thing here. It's not.
Right.
Versus here it is.
Yeah, you can see the sort of tumbled.
Yeah,
and it just looks a little bit more stretched on the black.
Yeah, and again, it might just be age. This is the other way to test it is they call it like a pull up. Where you or a crease, you kind of push it and see if it pops back up.
Okay.
If it doesn't keep a seam or anything like that, then it's probably not as good a quality leather.
Okay.
So this does it very well. It's hard to compare because there's age difference. This will have naturally. This is the one.
This is the 2015 one. Yep.
It'll start to break down a little bit. And again, to most people, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I guess again, unless you're collecting them. So.
Well, I mean, as a collector, I love the way that this feels, and I think that this is just a really nice. It's aged really nicely after the last 10 years of me sort of wearing it, and Now I want to ask, and this is not. We don't have to do this at all, and I also wouldn't be mad if we didn't do this because it's my personal pair, and I don't have another one. Would it help to determine which one's better if we cut it open?
No.
No. Okay. Cool.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank God. I know it'd be a great thumbnail, but that's like a $600 pair of shoes.
No, I don't. It's not going to change the. I wouldn't say it's drastically different on the orange and the white on either pair.
Okay.
But I can just tell that it's a higher quality. I would guarantee that if we sourced it all back, you're going to find that this is probably a little bit better made. The black, I would say definitely this is nicer. The 15 is nicer.
That makes sense.
But again, they're probably, I'm sure that they're taking a lot of these pieces and they're finding whatever the black is that meets whatever spec whoever's designed them, and they just make a bazillion Nike swooshes.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. Okay. So if I guess to give a sort of definitive answer, obviously this one is the one you say is better.
Yeah.
How much better do you think it is? And I guess the way that we could do this is like 0 being fully just the worst of the worst leather, 10 being like top of the line. Would top of the line Horween be like the best of the best?
That would, for me, you know, again, in the U.S. wise, Horween and like a Wicket and Craig for veg tan, Horween for chrome would be my basis for kind of top of the line.
So in terms of that, where would you rank these shoes on that list? Like where would the newer one go and then where would the older one go?
Okay. Well, I would say, I don't think either one of them are like the best quality. So let's say that, you know, the 15 would be, in my estimation, would maybe be like a 6 or 7. And this would be maybe a, you know, 3 or 4.
Okay.
So it's not like, it's not drastic different.
But it is different.
But it's enough, yeah, it's definitely enough difference that it would matter to me.
Well, I want to ask you a couple more questions, kind of go over some of the stuff you've got in the studio and kind of learn some things about leather and maybe sort of bust some myths about leather if we could do that.
Sounds good.
All right, so there's your answer. The Shattered Backboard 2015s, according to a leather expert, are nicer quality than the 2025s. At the end of the day, though, they're both Jordan brand leather, which is not the best. And realistically, if you can't afford these, get these. There's nothing wrong with that. But at this point, I actually wanted to have Mike rank some of the sneakers that I had in my collection that people consider to be really high quality and find out which ones are actually high quality and which ones are not as good as we thought. Because sure, I've made a shoe in a shoe factory in Portugal with real leathers and suedes and things like that, but not everybody has, and there's also so much that I can learn. I'm not saying that I'm an expert. I've never said that I was an expert. I just had opinions and people didn't like them. But that's okay. But that's fine. If you want to check out the video where I make a shoe in Portugal, click the link right up there. But with that being said though, this next part is really interesting and we actually bust a bunch of myths about leathers and sneakers and find out which sneakers are actually decent quality and which ones are not as good quality as we thought. Okay, so Mike, we've got a lot of really cool leathers here and I want to kind of go through them in a second. But first, before we do that, I want to show you a couple shoes and get your opinions on some other shoes which people consider to be some of the higher quality shoes out there in the market. So this first one is a recently released Air Jordan 1, inspired by the original 1985 Air Jordan 1. Now it's a higher retail price point. It's got much thicker leather. Wanted to see sort of what your thoughts were on quality.
Quality is in the eye of the beholder, right? I'm not a big fan of this type of leather. It's almost look more, I don't know if it's not patent leather, but it's more brush finished. It just doesn't have quite the, like I wouldn't want to work on this, something with this leather. I don't know.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad quality or not. I mean, it doesn't look like doesn't look plastic.
Right.
It looks like it's real leather.
And this pair's been worn, I've worn this pair probably 40 different times. Okay. I mean, for weeks in a row.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's not some kind of a composite in this leather.
So sort of backing the...
Yeah, but you can kind of see like here, and I'm sure this is a point where you're moving your foot, but the crease in here would identify to me that that's a real leather, where it just seems to me this looks more like a cheaper kind of leather on these portions.
That makes sense.
And you know, the red looks a little bit nicer.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just if it's the leather or if it's the positioning in the shoe itself.
Right. Like, can you determine anything from the? Can you see any grain in the sides of on the edges, or is that something that's difficult to kind of?
Yeah, like you can see when you pinch it.
Oh yeah.
See how that? And I'm sure that this is probably similar versus here. Like this red is
that's
different.
Super thin. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
This is definitely. I think it's. I mean, I would say that it's real leather. I'm not sure it's. I don't think any of this stuff is super high quality leather.
I actually have a pair from 1985.
There you
An
go.
original pair.
All right, let's see. Well, I would tell you that this, and it may just be part of the age, but it definitely looks and feels. You can start to see the patina.
Yeah.
In here, like where it's when that's wearing through, like. Horween does that really well, which is one of these pieces. When you really start to scuff it up, it gets it. To me, it gives it so much more character.
Right.
Versus here, like you can see, this was probably made to look like leather, but it's not. It's a composite.
That makes sense. And it's interesting because all the pairs from 1985 are wearing this exact same way on this panel.
Yeah. That's I'm not even sure that's not. It's probably not leather at all.
Okay.
Or if it is, it's like a composite leather.
The swoosh also is pretty thin too, which I noticed on this one. Like they're both thinner even than that one. And I guess that was just.
I think it's probably just because it's just an ornamental piece. It's not meant to be any kind of structure. I would say, you can tell that these are more, you can just kind of, from the look of it, you know, and the shine and the patina, that these are more higher quality than this one.
Right, and the way the edges fray too, I really like on both of them. It's beautiful,
Yep. No, it gives it the authenticity.
True. So before we get into more leather quality, I've got a couple other shoes to show you. First one is a pair of Diodoras.
Okay.
So I want to see what your thoughts are on this one. Now this is just kind of a standard pair of Diodoras. Yep. I believe it is a collaboration, so technically it's apparently supposed to be a little bit nicer. But how are you feeling about the suedes and the new bucks?
I would say that this is, it seems like a very high quality.
I think it was also produced in relatively limited quantities too, and it might be made, don't quote me on this, but it might be made in Italy, because I believe Diodora is based in Italy, and then they also have a Philadelphia.
I could just feel it. You know, it's a weight,
Okay.
but also just a supple feel to it. You know, it just has a nice touch, a nice look. Visually, to me, with leather, you want it to hit as many of the senses as you can.
Right.
You know, so.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
You know, kind of, you can smell the leather here, like this. I guarantee.
Yeah.
No, it smells like plastic.
Yeah, it does. I've smelled that one. Yeah.
But this, you know, so it's the touch taste, but you can't really. I guess you could taste it, but I don't know that we'd want to go that route. Like good vegetable tan leather, you can actually hear it. Like you can put it up to your ear, and it'll have that creaky sound.
Similar shoe. This is from New Balance. This is one of the more limited ones as well.
Yeah.
I believe that one could be made in the USA. I think but the thing is with New Balance is they say it's made in the USA. It's really just assembled in the USA.
Yeah, I can tell you that this is good quality leathers. I would say this is nicer.
And so what is it, like what's a good way for just an average person like me to figure out like what suede's nicer, what suede's not?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of your taste, personal taste.
Okay.
But texture to me is a big piece of especially with the natural, it's like anything natural, texture is a big piece of it. So
Gotcha.
you can just kind of see, you know, the pull up a little bit, you know, it's just, now that doesn't necessarily mean quality to certain
Right, like carrier doesn't mean better than
correct.
Okay.
But I can just feel, this feels like a nice, high quality leather. This, I would say, if I was looking at these two together, I would be like, absolutely, this is nicer. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe if you're ranking them, you know, 1, 2, 3 kind of a thing.
But I've got a classic good old Birkenstock.
Yep, it's not best leather in the entire world, but it's a nice thickness. It's a good quality leather. Patina is super cool, super well.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think it's made really well. I think, and you can kind of see if you look when you're doing the creasing, it's meant to wear well. You know, like same thing with like Bloodstones. If you've ever,
I'm not familiar with them. Okay.
So they're like the winter version of Birkenstock. Again, not necessarily the top of the line leather, but a very adequate, good leather for what it is, the price point, and all that kind of stuff.
Would you say that this is like the best out of all three? Like, would it go this one, almost, or maybe even?
Well, again, it's different. I would venture to guess this is probably the most expensive leather. Yeah, I would say these are probably comparable.
Okay.
Different product because this is suede and this is more of a regular finish.
Show me the best leather that you have. Like, let's start with the best of the best and then kind of venture our way down.
Well, and I'm a little partial, but I've been sourcing leathers for 30-some years at this point.
Awesome.
Mostly recycled leathers. But as I started to recycle leathers, I started to find time and again, the older the leathers, it ended up being the same type of leather that I really was excited about.
Okay.
And a lot of that was because of the patina.
Okay.
And vegetable tan, to me, is the highest grade that I like. There happens to be, luckily, I'm in Pennsylvania, so there happens to be a tannery, Wicket and Craig in middle part of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They do some of the best, to me, vegetable tans, and I just haven't, I mean, I just recently bought some of their leathers, but this is a vegetable tanned.
Okay.
Vegetable tan just means they're not using mostly like Horween, which is, I would mark up there as probably the best of the best in terms of quality of product. It's more chrome tanned type of a leather that they use.
So is it just a different process? Okay, is it like a different oil?
Vegetable tanned is truly like vegetables. It's natural. It's, you know, people argue whether it's more economic or environmentally friendly or not. I mean, you would think that it is, but the people that don't make it say that it's not. There's other things that happen to it, like everybody will do.
Yep.
I just like the purity of the vegetable tan, and the types of products that I make are more, they're not Louis Vuitton. You know, they're handmade. They take weeks and weeks and weeks to make. This is just a carrying case I made, but you can see like this thickness doesn't change the quality. It's just it's skived down to give it to the right. Like I like handles that feel like handles.
Right.
I like.
Oh, that's super thick.
Yeah. And like my belt.
Oh wow.
So you can see how that gets when you're dealing with high quality leathers. It has a patina. It gives you something that looks like your grandfather gave it to you and held it, you know, in a safe for 50 years. And the edges get really nice and perfect. So as far as my favorite leather to work with, it's vegetable tan. You can also wet it and mold it, and then makes it hard. And like this is like saddle, like they make cowboy, you know, horse saddles with this product a lot, but it holds shape.
Right.
Versus a chrome, at least in the stuff like this is Chrome XL. This is a kind of see the sheen. It'll dull and get really beautiful.
Yeah.
And there it says, I think it says Horween on it.
Yep.
The thing that I love about Horween, which is different from the veg, and so the Chrome XL, first of all, it's super supple to work with, and it's like butter. It really is.
It really feels like that. Yeah, absolutely.
But when you when you really wear something out for years and years and years, the underneath it's dyed. It's not. This isn't come from a brown cow.
Right.
The inside, it starts to seam through in some of the areas that get worn, and it just gives it that look that you can't fake it. Like you can't sand it down and make it look. I mean, you can sort of fake it, but it's not the real deal.
Gotcha. So that's gorgeous. So this is probably your favorite.
That's my
general.
That's my favorite to work with is it relates to. So this is the Horween. I would say I go back and forth between Wicket and Craig, Veg Tan, and Horween. And sometimes I'll make something, and I try to do just one-off pieces, but I'll make something and I like it in the vegetable tan, and I'll try to remake it in a Horween just to have one of each.
That's awesome.
Here's a pebble look. This is a texture that somebody put on. You can kind of see it. It's got more of the plasticky feel. It's not as high quality. You wanted to see something that was.
So that's an artificial texture that they literally pressed on with big rollers.
And then correct. Okay. And then this was to mimic this. Gotcha. This is a tanned hide scrap from a piece that I got in Italy. I don't know what tannery it's from, but I can just tell you, and you can be the judge of it, but touch it and feel it versus touch and feeling this. This is so much higher quality.
Right.
Sometimes with these leathers, I actually, because I don't like this shiny part, I'll actually make something and use the inside.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Just to give it like more of a, feels like a suede. Again, I'm doing it from like a totally artist type perspective.
Thank you so much. This has been really, really great. I really appreciate it. So I want to round off this video first by saying thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It's really cool that you guys wanted to learn that much about leather. It's awesome. I learned a lot from talking to Mike. It was a great experience. And I totally understand if the leather quality doesn't matter to you. That's fine. If you want to buy this shoe because you like the Shattered Backboard colorway, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just annoyed by the fact that Jordan Brand gave us a significantly better product 10 years ago, and then now in 2025, we're getting something that really is not as good. Also, I just want to say no shade to anybody who made videos calling people out as leather experts, or to the commenters, or the Instagram posts, or anybody like that. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I think that's great that we have a place that we can kind of talk about what we love, what we're passionate about, which is sneakers. And whether you agree with me or don't, that's fine. I just love the fact that we're able to have this conversation. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one. As leather expert Seth. Sorry, excuse me. Leather expert Seth. I never said I was a leather expert, by the way, too. Like, I never said that.